Welcome, everyone, to Two Guys in Hockey Talk, Season 7, Episode 20. My name is Pawel the Cat, and I've got my very kind and wonderful co-host, Evan Renaerts. Evan, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful, man, and just I'm pumped. I did not think at this time of year we would have this many stories. I think this year is the most hockey stories around the world that I've ever seen in a single season, and we haven't even hit March yet. I mean, this is like nutso out there. Hey guys, welcome to Two Guys in Hockey Talk. So how's your week, man?
You know what? It's been very busy. I was a little under the weather this week, so I was kind of low-key just on my phone watching a bit of hockey here and there. Over the weekend, it was good, but I'm feeling back to close to 100%, which is good. And I'm actually very pumped, and we're going to get into this right away, the Olympics. So I can't wait to start talking about that because it's happening, and we're going to see best on best, not only in hockey, but all other sports. So I look forward to it because I think the Olympics, the Winter Olympics specifically, I think it's one of the best exciting times in global sports, right? There's a lot happening. And to sum it all up also, the Super Bowl is coming up here. So that should be exciting.
Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I got a big Super Bowl party planned.
Who do you got taking it? Do you think the Patriots dominate again, the Seahawks in the rematch, or what?
No, I think the Seahawks are coming out of this one. Go Seahawks!
Okay.
Woo!
You guys can let us know. We have a few people who we connect with, including with Sports Empire, Kyle and Key and the group there. They're big sports fanatics and NFL fanatics, so go check them out. They've got some good stuff. But yeah, I'm excited about the Olympics. But before we get that, how's your week, Evan?
It's been a really, we always end the show saying it's been a ring a ding dong dandy. That's what my week has been like, actually, for the last almost 3 weeks now. And even though I did have yesterday and today off to get some rest, I had so much going on that I don't feel like I got any rest. But I have got actually 7 to 8 hours sleep the last 2 nights. So that alone has just kind of opened up everything. But it doesn't have, I'll tell you what's really helped though. Some of these crazy scores in the NHL and down in the minor leagues and NCAA, all these crazy scores have made me fast forward some of these games that I'm trying to catch. So it's made a total difference. How about you? Did you catch up much, or you just been doing the highlights lately?
I've watched, I try to watch a game or two each night while I'm doing some work, so it's great. But when you have kiddos, it's a little tougher. But
I'm sure the wife appreciates it.
But I do, yeah.
Only a game or two.
Hockey is all I'm watching. But I do find from time to time that I'm able to watch highlights afterwards, or a variation, or usually the media behind the team afterwards, because I try to get a little bit of insight and knowledge from every market just to see what's going on. Because you rarely see, it's so much hard to watch every single game every single time, right?
Absolutely.
The attention is, you're limited, right? So I do watch highlights when I can, but it's been good. But I am looking forward.
I was going to say, now, because we're just talking about that right now, I know I get people like sending me notes and this thing. So how do you follow so much hockey and still have a life? And you say that you guys work and stuff like that. Well, it's kind of like the stuff that Pawel said. So I will mention, because some people don't fully understand. So yeah, I got all these hockey, lots of hours. Some of it is quick capping. So what I'll do is I will highlight. I'll go to the goals, and then I'll maybe take 2 minutes before the play, 2 minutes after the play. What's the reaction time? Sometimes you get caught up in the actual games themselves. Sometimes it'll be a post game, so I kind of know what's already happened, and I know certain parts of the game that I want to go back and check from earlier in the day, especially when a lot are in Eastern time. As well as I have several people out there that actually will follow the games as well. So I try to get that information, and then also talking with several others that are out there in the hockey world, whether they're scouts or coaches or people along the game, and trying to get an idea of feeding in from them as much too. So if you guys are wondering, that's kind of a lot of what it is, along with watching a lot of hockey. That's why when people ask me, you follow the B-ball, you find the NCAA frozen, I was going to say frozen for, but
I don't have 10 TV screens running simultaneously. I
What's
wish.
that?
Grant or Boston Bruins. He says I don't have 10 TV screens running simultaneously.
Can I say so? I actually have. I have 3 going on in my office. So I actually have 2 on my computer because I throw it up on my 50-inch. Then I have 2 that are going on my screens. So I throw 2 on the other computer, and I have 2 going on. So I actually do watch 4. My problem is I want to hear them live. I want to hear the announcing. I want to hear, and so I'm trying to watch it. It's like, oh, you're kind of going berserk. But and sometimes Boston is one of those teams, Grant.
There was a great game tonight, I think, between Boston and the Panthers, and we are getting close to the Olympics. So let's jump into there because there's been a lot of rumblings about what's been happening. The arena looks good. They've replaced a lot of things. It looks pretty solid now. It's not going to be perfect, but I think the NHL players and the women's teams are going to have a good time playing there because the games start up soon. The opening ceremony.
So you're a believer in the Olympic ice now, that it's okay, they'll have it going in time? You're not worried?
I think given what we were seeing, I think that it was pretty impressive where they got to. But because given that they weren't working around the clock and some of the mishaps that we saw, and I get that it was a snapshot in time, but really it made me worry. And I'm willing to be and accept that I'm wrong, to know that the NHL players are going to be able to play on NHL sheet of ice. Now, it is not perfect dimensions like the NHL, but it's something, right? And I hope all players who are playing are able to have a great tournament and no one gets injured. That's my number one forethought.
Okay,
the fans can enjoy the game.
All right, let's talk some Olympic hockey then.
All right, so it sounds like Anthony Cirelli of the Tampa Bay Lightning is out, and it looks like Sam Bennett has been asked to come out. Now, all the players are starting to trickle down to Milano to get there, to prepare. The women's teams are already there. It sounds like a lot of the NHLers are going to be going this week, probably Thursday, Friday, flying over. And of course, we have some other goalies like Jonas Korpisalo filling in after the injuries that took over, I believe, for Team Finland. So we're getting a few more players in. Your thoughts so far on what's been going on and what we've been hearing?
You know, when I think we talked about 2, maybe 3 weeks shows ago, so 2-3 weeks ago, we talked about the rigid schedule and how much that's starting to take. Even Timo Laszlo was talking about that how hard it is on the bodies and seeing the injuries going down. This is 1 year. I don't know if I ever remember an Olympics where this many, like if you had maybe 3, 4, maybe 5, but you knew a couple of them like a month and a half out. But like this late still coming in, it's almost a guarantee every team will have 2 to 3. I like to know, is there a single team yet? And I haven't done the math here. Is there a single team that has not had injuries affect them going into the Olympics?
Since the women's teams are starting to see injuries and they're already there because they're practicing. So it just goes to show you that, you know, one bad play can really injure you and you can be limited by a player. Go ahead.
No, I didn't have a go ahead. I'm just listening. I'm actually thinking, oh yeah, the women.
And so we talk about Jonas Korpisalo filling in for Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Let's talk about how Buffalo has just been on a heater. And of course, you know, they have some other goalies in place, but that's a big loss because a lot of these guys want to represent their country and really, you know, pride themselves in wearing their flags. So
yeah,
you really see that it's a big loss. And a lot of these guys will push through like the playoffs and work through whatever they need to unless they absolutely cannot go.
Yeah.
So it's a great honor, and I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of them to showcase themselves on the world stage. But I'm liking what I'm seeing, and it should be exciting hockey.
I'm actually, like I think I said it last time, I was actually quite excited about going into this year's Winter Olympics with the women, because I think you're looking at a whole new level of hockey in the Olympics. I was already great between, say, 3 or 4 nations, generally always coming down to US and Canada. But, I mean, I think start looking for other groups like Sweden and Finland and other groups that are already good in men's hockey, actually starting to pick it up in women's hockey now that they got the PWHL.
For sure. And I do want to just mention one other thing. For the Edmonton Oilers, Conrad David's going to go represent his country. And he did pen a letter recently about Dear Canada, about his opportunity to play for Team Canada, how much it means. And it also went into the fact that how difficult the back-to-back Stanley Cup losses were on him, how exhausted he was, but he loved it, and that's his goal. Now, every player wants to win, for sure. But a lot of people were essentially harping on him that I saw for the fact that, oh, he came out and was saying, well, he's doing what he can, but, this means that he's done after this. But he has a burning passion and desire to win in Edmonton. And it seems like it doesn't look like he's going anywhere, but he first wants to represent his country and win gold and play with some of his heroes like Sidney Crosby. So
is it me, or does it seem like McDavid has been more focused on the Olympic gold than actually all this talk about winning another Stanley Cup? It's been his fault. In fact, it almost feels like this year he's been less worried about the Edmonton Oilers. Oh, man, am I going to get people riled up now? He's been less concerned about the Edmonton Oilers and more concerned about the Team Canada and playing with Crosby and McKinnon and Celebrini and all these other great players. That's his focus. I mean, when he gets back, I think he'll be on a tear above and beyond what he is. It's almost like his prep has prepped him to be ready for the Olympics to this point. I don't know. But it's definitely been an interesting ride watching him up to this time between him and Kucherov right now in the NHL. So I don't want to get off the Olympic piece. You were talking about the ice. Do you have, I know we've talked this to death, but do you have any concerns before we lay out a prediction here before we go into the Olympics? I know I'm throwing you on the spot. We didn't talk about we're going to give a prediction, but I think we should at least give an idea of our thoughts. Okay. But my thinking here is going in that ice, that neutral zone is going to be quite small because the offensive zones, defensive zones are going to be same size as NHL, and they're going to shorten that inside area. Do you think that's going to actually speed up the game, or do you think that could actually end up with more offsides? Where's your headspace at? And then transition us over to who we're looking at for being the best teams in this Olympics.
Right. So I believe that it is going to speed up the game only because there's also different double IHF rules, and because the Olympics have a different standards in terms of physicality. You're less likely to see physicality. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be completely eradicated. You're still going to see some rough and tumble from players. When you're sending Tom Wilson and Sam Bennett over versus Brady Tkachuk, you're going to see some stuff happen, right? So the way I see it is that there's going to be more movement because players adjust quickly. We talked about this, if you recall, Evan, when the playoffs were only in two rinks, Edmonton and Toronto, and how, Edmonton has the advantage and Toronto has the advantage because they know their rinks because of where things are, how the rinks are set up. But players are so intelligent that they pick up these things really quickly, and I think they're going to be able to speed up the game so much faster. My worry is some of the teams that don't have that dynamic foot speed that are in the tournament, like a France, how are they going to keep up with teams like Canada, Sweden, US, and Finland, right? So I think you're going to see a little bit more finesse. You're going to see, of course, more European teams, so a little bit more emphasis on the skill. And I don't think Canada is going to have a problem competing or playing that game at the world stage. And if it comes down to who potentially could win it, I think it's down to between the U.S. versus Canada for taking gold. Both teams should expect gold. Anything less could be a disappointment for the players. Now, it shouldn't be generally because silver's still very impressive. But if they fall short of that, that could be questions will be raised for sure for the GMs of the team that set them up. So that's kind of what I see it, right? I think the U.S. has a lot of opportunity. They're a little bit weak on the goalie side. I think Ottinger is the goalie you need to start with. Of course, Canada has its goaltending issues, but they are so deep down the middle that they can outplay their opponents. Your thoughts?
Actually, I hadn't thought about till you just brought up groups like France and some of these other countries. I think you're going to see even a wider spread, and I would even expect because the game's going to be quick, it's going to be fast, because the neutral zone, the bigger that neutral zone is, the more that you can actually trap them on the inside if you play a certain type of game coaching. So I think it is going to be quicker, and I think it's going to allow the higher skill players to actually be able to break through. So I think you are, like right now, I think this is hands down going to be Canada, the U.S., Finland, and Sweden as the masterpieces of the top four. That's really, can Czechia jump in there? On a junior level, yes, but I do not see the players right now on the NHL level, because that's essentially, even though this is not NHL, they're pretty much all NHL players. As many as every country can bring, they're bringing to the place. So, by the way, Pasternak for Czechia and Draisaitl for Germany, flag bearers for the country.
Yeah, pretty impressive honor.
I mean, especially for hockey, when we're talking about coming in. So I don't know if that has ever been a hockey player to represent Czechia in the Winter Olympics, and also Germany. I don't think it's ever happened in history. So that's a wonderful honor.
And because of that, we've had a few trades in the NHL, both large and small, which we'll get into in just a bit. But at the same time, there's a bit of a trade feast happening just before the Olympics here coming up this Friday, and there'll be another one before the trade deadline. And I really liked what Sweden had to do, and I'll let you get your thoughts.
Okay,
the problem is they've had a few injuries for a while, right? Hedman should be good to go, but who knows if he's going to be 100%. And of course, Leo Carlson, young dynamic forward of Anaheim, he's out. Jonas Brodin, people underestimate him, but he's one of the better, smaller defensive defensemen in the league, and he can really be impactful, especially for a Minnesota team that's already deep. But him being out, I know that's going to be a tough loss for them. So, and nothing against Marcus Johansson and Hampus Lindholm. I just think you want the best of the best. And Zylstra's highest USA scorers are not on the team.
Yeah, I wonder whose fault that is.
Jonas Brodin's boss.
Okay, so what are you looking at right now? That's my top four. I haven't said who I think is in the final and who wins. Where are you going?
With what? Oh, I think it's Canada or US to lose.
Oh,
gold.
Sorry, I missed that. Okay, so who wins between US and Canada if they make the gold medal game?
I would say Canada wins.
And you're not worried about Canada's goaltending and their defense?
No.
I am worried about their defense. When you got Colton Parayko, I don't care if he's 6'6", stretching somewhere, man. You can beat that guy like a running mule, So if you got a good player coming down, Brady Tkachuk will make him look like he's actually a pylon or a bag of pucks. I'm a little concerned about that back end. I feel like they got only half the players right. What happens if Cale Makar goes down as your number one quarterback on the power play? You going to run more forwards? This isn't very good. They didn't have a good backup plan to me. They needed two offensive, just like they did back when they had Ray Bork and they had Paul Coffey playing for Team Canada. That's what you need back there, and they don't have that. So I'm a little concerned about that. But I go with Canada, and I go in another tight game, just like the Four Nations.
Fair enough.
All right, let's move over. We have a lot of NHL. Why don't we actually move over to and have this discussion, because something just came out in NCAA hockey. Why don't you go ahead? I'll set up here so I'm ready to go. Let everybody know what's happened and give them the report here tonight in the NCAA.
Okay. Do you want to get into around the ring?
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's mix it up here at 20 after.
All righty. This is around the rink. All right, around the rink, brought to you by Flow Hockey. If you're looking for the best hockey on TV, go check out Flow Hockey. All right, so
I was going to say, what about Sportsnet and TSN? Guys, we're talking about all other hockey outside of NHL.
So it sounds like Gavin McKenna has been charged with a felony aggravated assault today, along with harassment and disorderly conduct. Stemmed from an altercation that took place downtown at State College, Pennsylvania, after a Penn State outdoor hockey game on January 31st, so a couple days away. As everyone knows, Gavin McKenna, 18-year-old, he transitioned over to the NCAA, potentially projected to go first round, as according to most people, including Rev's top 15. And there's no preliminary hearing scheduled, and there's a lot of information arising as we speak. Twitter's been buzzing, Twitter/X, but it looks like this, not only is this a developing story, but this will definitely impact his stock and his reputation in terms of whether he goes to the NHL or not this year in the draft.
No.
Well, if he gets charged, Evan.
No, it ain't happening. It ain't
Okay.
happening. Okay. So, just a heads up, everyone. So again, as Pawel mentioned, he is the #1 ranked. Now there has been some new rankings, and I actually planned today to talk about the rankings, but something else is reeking. Who would have ever thought at 6'1", 170 pounds, non-fighting, plays on the perimeter, as everybody says in the World Juniors. Gavin McKenna never fights in his life other than with a little guy, is sitting there and he's up against a guy that is a frat boy on campus. And by the way, it is campus because it was the campus police who actually laid the charges because of the frat boy, let's just use that name, had put it out. He broke his jaw. Like he broke his, so one of the guys I did reach out to, I reached out to 3. I can't name the other 2 sources, but I can name Josh Bartosik. You guys, we had him on. He's the former Penn State, called some of their games and did the color, as well as was the communications director. So this is if you want to go follow him, you can find some of his information. He doesn't have it all out there, but if you go into some of the stuff at Penn State where he does different stuff, he also works for the NA3AHL, North American 3HL Hockey League, Tier 3. But anyway, this is going to be, in his opinion, and in 2 other people that I can't cite who they are, they have told me this will be a cash deal. This will be a cash deal off. Now, all we know is that he was charged. Okay, they did not keep him. He was given charges. Now, what's happened is the state, and so ESPN, NBC Sports, they all got the story. Everyone knows it. What we know for sure, first of all, it was not in a bar. Okay, it was not in a bar. It was outside. Remember, he's 18. He can't now. He has a wristband that we know, which says that you cannot give alcohol to people who are 19. This was after the game at Beaver Stadium, after they played Michigan. Later on, he was with some teammates. This is what we do know. He was walking with some of his family, and his mom was included in that. Now, this is unsubstantiated, so no one can actually prove this, but everything lining up from those that are close in Penn State, that he was with them, and this frat guy started calling his mom names. We don't know, whore, something like that, and it started an altercation. Some of the teammates who were there, they tried to de-escalate the situation. This guy had nothing to do with it, and he kept going and standing up for the honor of his family. From the best is what it sounds like, Gavin McKenna stepped up and got in an altercation physically, and that's why he's being charged with assault. Don't know how he could break this guy's jaw. So Josh Bartosik said this, Pawel, and you got to. He says, "Wonder what this will do for his draft stock. People who say he's not physical. If he can drop a guy's jaw, I don't care if he's a frat boy or not. I mean, some guy is mouthing off. That's going to go a long ways for having a heavy. He's got money. There's more to this. They knew who he was. They don't like him. Maybe they didn't know he was Gavin McKenna. I don't think so. Everybody knows who almost the $1 million player is, who's 18 years old on campus. And this didn't go well. So it wasn't just mom. It was other people in the family. Now, those things we don't know exactly. That's the story that seems to be quite consensual. We know family were with him afterwards, and it was on campus. He cannot face deportation. That's the other part, unless it is actually charged and he is actually arrested. He has to go through the full process. He has to go through the full courts. They would not send him away, and then he could possibly face deportation. So I was on actually with Zill a little bit earlier. Hey, Kyle, how you doing, man? And we were talking just before the show because I was still waiting for stuff to get back in. And we were just saying, it's kind of crazy how a guy that is not a strong guy all of a sudden gets an altercation. It had to be more to this. It's not. They're making it sound like he has killed somebody. Like this sounds like there's so much more going on here. And Josh and 2 others that confirmed with it, they think this will be a cash payout and this will be done. And I think it's going to lift his level at the draft. I don't think this is going to be a bad thing. He has no history of this, no history whatsoever. So anyway, it's almost like a rant for me because I think way too much has been made of this in Penn State. I guess they needed news. And there you go, Pagula, there, your place that you like to name. Your alma mater.
I would say, I'm not saying he'll never play in the NHL. I'm saying the NHL is going to have to take a good hard look at this and
They don't
assess.
care.
I don't know, Evan.
No,
They don't like this.
They don't like this. Hang on, they don't like someone standing up for the honor of a family member who is not a fighter and
I'm
just
with
gotten
you.
a small. These guys get in altercations in the junior hockey. They get in altercations off the ice and stuff like that. This is a purely simple.
Not as
simple
publicly, not as publicly this. I'm
Yeah.
just saying we don't know all the facts completely, and that they haven't made a ruling yet. So I'm not going to judge comment because I don't know what's going to happen.
This guy is going to be the bread and butter of the NHL in the future. They're not touching this with a 10-foot pole. I understand why you're saying that, and some people might think that, but yeah,
I think there's a section of hockey fans that are going to probably look at this and say, "What's the outcome going to be? How is this going to impact his NHL career?"
So
I'm not saying that it's going to happen.
Oh yeah, actually. So just so people get it, it's first-degree felony for aggravated assault plus misdemeanor, simple assault, harassment, and disorderly conduct. Harassment? Like, what the heck would he be doing harassing? Like, there's a lot of these charges that will not stick. That's why I believe that. So
I just think we'll have to wait for more information to trickle that, and we'll see what the NHL what's it called response is, right? Because they're going to probably have to have a response for this.
hey, can I say this? What if he got? Let's just pretend. What if he got departed, sent back to Canada? Oh, that's great. He'll go back and play for the Medicine Hat Tigers, a team that's already dominating with Pickford.
Yeah, Wanderer says Bettman's going to take action somehow, make it so only Florida can draft McKinnon.
I agree with you, Wanderer.
I'm waiting for more information because this is ongoing and that they're coming out. Ozistra says hockey fans love fighting. This doesn't get negative in hockey world.
There you go. And that's from Zylstra, who doesn't want fighting in hockey.
Oh, 100%. I'm not saying that this is a bad. I think he did the what's it called? Like he did something like if somebody's antagonizing you and insulting family members.
I think the guy's drunk. I actually think this is not even going to be. I don't think this guy has a real case. It just doesn't make sense.
It's really blown up today, which has been very.
And a one-time little thing where someone comes after your family, said stuff, antagonizes, likely was drunk as well because he would have got interviewed, right, by the campus police. They're just, I mean, and who's charging him? The guy with the broken jaw only? And how do you have so many other little, like, harassment? How was Gavin McKenna harassing? I think they're just trying to make a story out of this right now. And
we're going to keep you guys posted on what's been going on there because this is going to be an ongoing story, especially up until his draft coming up this year. So we'll be interested to see what takes place. I did want to just bring up a few other things around the rink. So in the WHL, the Raiders, the Prince Albert Raiders, have surged to the top of the CHL top 10 rankings. And just so everyone knows, the inaugural WHL Prospects Games is coming up on February 18th. So that's pretty exciting, given that we just had Bob Turo on 2 weeks ago or last week. And so we talked about prospect games and the development of young players and showcasing them and just everything that came up for it, right? Brad says, Brad, timing for the kid, possible number pick and has controversy already. Hindsight is 2020, but someone in his position, opportunity should have made a different decision. But I don't know all the facts yet. Again, it's a lot. There's so much unknown.
Can I just say this? This is, and so I hear what Brent's saying. By the way, I don't fall for all that crap about like right now. So actually, and Zill watches Flow Hockey. Great supporter of you guys at Flow Hockey, Chris Peters. But so she was just telling me a lot of the NCAA that she's watching, all these guys that were drafted last year, Porter Matone, you name it, all these guys aren't looking better than Gavin McKenna. So you got to let that sit inside. These were high draft picks already there. But the other part is when you look through she was telling me, when you look through the rankings of who Penn State is actually playing, they're playing top 5 teams, like a lot in those 20 games, whereas some of the other teams have easier schedules and they're still not winning. Some of the one Michigan team, I mean, they're so underperforming, right? 20 years. Yeah, I agree with Brett. A possible 20 years. Yeah, for a guy that's never had an offense in his life, like, come on, for a guy that's 170 pounds, doesn't know how to really fight it at all. Like, none of this stuff. It's just like, It's all out there. But anyway, I was going to say, Gavin McKenna already, I asked Josh Bertosik also about this right now at Penn State. He said since he's come back from the World Juniors, he's a different player. Right now, if he had played the way he is right now at the beginning of the half season, he's the Hobie Baker winner as the best player in the NCAA. Like, that's how good he's playing right now. And hopefully this doesn't sidetrack his focus. This is going to be the real test of his fortitude, though. Can he because this is what the NHL's like. Can you play under all this enormous pressure right now at 18 years old, playing for Penn State, already trying to be the number one and the best out there? Is he a man now? Is he broke blood? Is he ready to go? We're going to find out, Gavin McKenna. Let's see if you got it, man. Show him what you got, boy.
And here's the other thing, Evan. So you indicated, and you're rightly, like, this probably builds his stock up. But even if he falls, let's say to second or third for someone else, for a team that may not want this kind of publicity or may not want this kind of what's it called? They don't need to deal with the headache, right? I mean, you look at what happened with Carter Hart, general separate situation, but also, you have to really base it around your fan base. Carolina explored it, and their season ticket holders didn't like it. Even if he falls to second, third, or fourth, that's still a top 5 pick right there that you can get, and another team would most likely be able to draft.
Absolutely, they would eat it up.
I'm sure whoever would be in that role at this point would be probably salivating at being able to draft Gavin McKenna.
And Gavin McKenna has also had some people already actually say specifically he's talked to some people and they said, well, there's some people saying your rankings where you could go. And he's like, you know what? I'm not worried. I want to play in the NHL and that I want to be the best that I possibly can be. So, hey, I'm with him. I don't think it's going to matter. In fact, if he doesn't play for the worst team, that means he's going to play for a team that's going to be a contender sooner. All right.
You take a chance, and Brent says, do you take a chance or kid that has a chance?
Oh, he will play. Yeah. So Brent, I don't know if you heard part of the piece I was on there. So getting some of the inside information. It looks like this is going to be a cash payout. It'll be a civil suit probably, and there won't be the charges will actually be lifted, is probably because the only way those charges, they're not from the college police. The charges that have been laid are from the actual, I call him frat boy, the one who was antagonizing his apparently his family, which we've heard those are all just rumors. And he stood up. I don't know what was the extra with it. So, this looks like this is going to be a payout, probably more. I'm being told consider it 90% chance payout.
This is the developing story, so we'll keep you guys posted as things develop, and you can follow us both on X or on our Facebook page. So we'll be updating. And Brent says,
go ahead.
Sounds good. Hope so. Good info, Evan.
Oh, good, thanks. Yeah, it's our good friends that help us get all the info. Sometimes sitting here in Western Canada, you can't get to the U.S., so it's always good to hear everything going on. But I feel pretty confident with that. I was glad to hear that. So, but hey, when have we had this many stories in hockey, folks? Like, it doesn't matter, Pawel. Every week there's something new. Like last week we had Bob Turo on. Guys, if you didn't follow him, he's former United States Premier Hockey League for over 4 or 5 years. Ran the Hockey Challenge, trades. Let's talk about trades. Ran the Hockey Challenge and all that Prospects Challenge in Ontario, and he's on talking about how they have all these incentives down in the United States, and every week there's something new and crazy that's happened in hockey. Long as you're not only following NHL. If you guys want to open up your world, that's why hopefully you're here with Two Guys in Hockey Talk, because we talk much more. So should we come out of the rink and head over?
We have a few more things around the rink before we jump over. You're jumping the gun here. You're jumping the gun. I know you're excited.
Woo! I am, man. This is fun.
So in some KHL news, Vitaly Kravtsov, who we know is a high draft pick here in the NHL, he's signed a long-term contract, so 3 years is what they consider there, with the Tractor Shelabinsk in the KHL. So he's making a full return there. He will be a key player. It's going to be around 75 million rubles per season. I don't know how much that was, but he was a draft pick for the New York Rangers in 2018. Remember, he had moved around to Vancouver. It didn't really pan out. He's still 25 years old, and he is a Russian, so he's probably going to feel at home and be able to potentially perform there. He's posted 27 goals and 31 assists in 66 games last season and helped the team reach the Gagarin Cup finals. So again, he's got the skill set. He can score, two-way player. He could be a good piece for them. And another player that has recently signed is Ben Harper, also a former NHLer, Canadian defenseman. He signs with the Shanghai Dragons, who we know that Gerard Gallant was there previously, who had to step away. He's 6'6", he's physical, he's got that experience. He did sign a professional tryout with the Panthers, but they didn't release him. And this is his first time playing in the KHL, so we wish him all the best. But there's a lot of opportunity there for him to make an impact. And if it ever works out well, maybe he gets a second look again in the NHL. Any thoughts there?
No, I think that's pretty straightforward stuff. So,
all right. And that has been Around the Ring.
Can I just say I didn't mean to not give those guys credit for the players that they are. I think my mind right now is actually focused on some of these trades and kind of what's gone down today.
Well, speaking of the Rangers, let's get into the big one that happened today.
Woo!
Surprisingly, Artemi Panarin is an LA King, extended for an extra 2 years at a total of $11 million. Or $11 million per season, $22 million contract. After being a healthy scratch for the Rangers, who are now going into a rebuild, in trade for prospect Liam Greentree, who has been kind of a good first-round pick back in the day and plays for the Winds and Spitfire, and a conditional third-round pick. And the condition is based that if LA wins a round in the playoffs, it'll move up to a second-round pick. So your thoughts on the trade so far, Evan? There was a lot of rumblings that he was most likely going to be moved by the Olympics, which is true. LA was one of those destinations. They have Kopitar for one more year, but what do you think of the trade?
So I feel like a broken record, but I'm just going to roll everything back. I called this last year that could be his final year getting a full season in New York. At the beginning of this season, I started mentioning Panarin, and I had a bunch of people ripping me. It's just like, no, Panarin's sticking around. Then they started thinking, and now, of course, it finally happened. So, again, broken record. But, hey, I did say so, that things were changing, and they were rebuilding, not retooling. That's essentially what's happened, and they got the permission. This is unusual. This is not especially when they brought Sullivan in. So I should mention, maybe you did say it, but I didn't hear it. The Rangers retained 50% of the salary. Okay. So now maybe let's take a look at this trade. We knew he's going out regardless, right? So if you think of this, they call it a retool, by the way, but I don't call this a retool. I know that's what he said to the fans. That's what Chris Drury says, but they have landed a top tier power forward prospect in Liam Greentree. So I want you guys to catch this. He is still 6'3" and 216 pounds. He's an NHL caliber frame already, tough to knock off the ice. He excels really with his puck protection. Okay, that is something that he is good at. Now, this year he does. Last year with the stats with the Spitfires, over 100 points, finishes second in OHL scoring. This season, he's still got 45 points in 34 games. This is a good prospect for them. I mean, his bread and butter is his shot, and I think that's what they're looking for. That's what Panarin had. He's got a pro-level release. So I think now the future projections, now that's kind of the catch, like you said, between the second and third. I am going to say that I don't know if they could have got much more because you got Liam Greentree. If they got something lesser, maybe they could have got, a first round. It would have been nice for them. But if you're going to go to a contending team, what's that first round still? 15, maybe 17 overall or something around there. So in that pick, I don't know.
Fetched a first round pick, or does Liam Greentree represent that first round pick?
I think Liam Greentree represents that right now with where he's coming in. If they didn't go with that, they could have done a third round, say, and a first round. is what they could have got. But I think that's because he's such a top end prospect, right? But the fact that Panarin actually wanted to go to LA shocks me because he really wants to win. And going to a place like LA, does this really put them in a place to win? They lost Kopitar, of course, but are they that much better with Panarin?
He's still there. He's there for one more year.
Yeah, he's just wrapping up this year. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's finishing his tour. But, I mean, Kopitar is like a shadow of last year already. Like, this is not a strong year for him. Maybe the playoffs. Maybe he's just saying, hey, just make the playoffs, and I'll play my heart out.
And I wonder if, as an aside conversation, food for thought is, should players announce that they're going to retire at the beginning of the season, or should you have something like Ovechkin where maybe he does retire at the end of the season, but nobody knows, or Malkin retires at the end of the season, but nobody knows, right? And you don't have that weighted pressure on you, right? That the expectation is there. I don't know.
I'm cool. People can do whatever they want. I think sometimes it's good for the team if the team knows, and I think trying to keep it under
wraps. The team can know behind the scenes, right? So you can tell them, "Hey, I'm done after this season."
But it's leaking. How do you? I mean, trades leak.
Can keep it. There's secrets that they can keep
for a year. Keep it quiet for a year. No, you name me anyone who's kept something secret for a year in the NHL. I don't even think.
Brad Marchand going to the Florida Panthers.
Okay, that wasn't in place for a year. Wow. That wasn't in place for a year. No,
you don't know.
Actually, they thought he was going to Toronto. It was a possibility. He was open to going to Toronto.
Either way, LA. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the postseason because, Artemi Panarin is a good player, but he hasn't really found his footing in the playoffs. Right, the last playoffs that they were in 23-24, in 16 games, he had 5 goals and 10 assists. So he was almost a point per game guy. But the year before, in 7 games, he only had 2 assists. And then the year before that, in 2021, 2022, he had in 20 games 6 goals and 10 assists. So he can perform, but it's hit and miss with him. I know he had that voodoo thing a couple of years ago where he felt like he didn't perform well enough, so he shaved his head. And he thought, hey, this should help me, which is a kind of funny thing to see on his social media post. But really, I wonder what the LA Kings can be. Now, they do need scoring, and it does help. But are they enough as a team to get over the hump? And if they face Edmonton, Evan, can they beat them, whether in the first round or second round? Can they face Edmonton and beat them? Really, that's the big question.
Well, I think the big question is Edmonton going to do something now before the trade deadline? Because what they got right now is not taking them to another cup final. They're going to have to shore up that defense.
LA. I would say they beat LA.
Not with Panarin now. I don't know if I actually agree. Like, I mean, you had Panarin.
4-0.
They couldn't score. They could 4-0. That's a different year, dude. Do you see that defense in Edmonton?
It was a different year when they went down 2-0. Everyone believed that they were out.
Okay,
no, I don't believe it.
This team,
Edmonton.
This team can't even stop a jackrabbit running across the ice and go in the net. If I threw that rabbit, it's going to go through the defense and through the goalie. This is one of the worst defensive teams I have saw in the NHL for a long time.
But the playoffs are a different beast, and they know how to turn it up.
What do you mean move it up? Do you know they got 3 guys that have really not done anything in the playoffs?
What was last year with Arvidsson and Skinner and Klimberg?
What about those guys?
Yeah, they didn't perform during the regular season. And
did you see Klimberg? Klimberg's one of the reasons they didn't do well in the finals. What do you mean? Klimberg sucked by then. He was awful.
You're talking about the final.
Okay, hang on. You said in the playoffs. That's what you're talking about, Edmonton.
So can LA beat Edmonton in the playoffs this year with Panarin?
And they have their goalie is better this year than he was last year. Their offense is the struggle. That their defense is better than it was last year. They are a way better team when it comes to an all-around game and way deeper than they were last year. Hands down, man.
In a weak Pacific Division, they're still third and battling it out for that third spot in the what's it called? Edmonton, for all its flaws, is still battling for the top of the Pacific. I don't think you're right in the fact that Edmonton would lose to LA just because of Panarin.
No, I didn't say just because. I said unless they do something. They were already going to be a 50-50 in my opinion.
They still beat them.
Okay, well let's see, because if they get someone better on defense, this whole conversation now goes out the window because they've actually upgraded, so you can't compare. But if they don't upgrade that defense, okay, watch this. If they don't upgrade that defense, they're out in the first or second round this year. We'll talk about this another time.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, can LA beat Edmonton now in the first or second round if they face them with
right now today? Yes, no. As it is today. But you said you're not talking about that. But come playoff, you then hang on. Listen.
It says LA misses playoffs. There you go.
So watch this.
Make the playoffs.
Well, just because Zill says it doesn't make it happen. She thought Vancouver was going to be a powerhouse once upon a time.
You were once upon a time.
So powerhouse? Okay, yeah, we're not talking decades.
2011.
So going back though, I'm trying to draw this comparison so you don't bring this back up.
Okay.
The comparison is right now today with the lineup after Panarin trade.
Yeah.
But this cannot be a comparable if Edmonton improves their defense any longer. I'm going to pull back my statement because that's what they need is a better defensive back end. So I'm saying anything we are discussing right now, it's only about what it looks like today for that defensive lineup. That's what I'm saying. As of today, they lose.
I'm still saying, regardless of whether they make changes or not, they're still not beating Edmonton. And the reason being is they faced them 4 times in the past 4 years.
Okay, you can't say regardless of changes because if they have the change, then you come back.
No matter what.
No, you can't do that because watch this.
I can do whatever I want.
Well, you can, but then that just means you're jumping around and you're trying to take things to your advantage and then say, see, I told you, Evan. But I'm telling you it's up to date. So if they add someone to their back end, you can't go, oh, it was regardless. Hang on, their team just got better, so you can't compare that to when we talked on February 4th. Totally different ballgame. And if not, hey, you got to go give me your lucky winning ticket because I didn't know I could predict the future like you can.
I'm not predicting the future. I can.
Oh yeah. You're telling me that it doesn't matter that they're going to win. So what you just said,
LA Kings.
What you just said is they would beat them today, and if they get better, they'd still beat them. Well, of course they would. LA will lose to Edmonton today, but LA will lose to Edmonton if Edmonton gets better. Like, who talks like that?
I do, because they would win no matter what. Because you believe that they're a better team if Edmonton makes no changes at this point.
Today, yes.
Edmonton stays the same. No, I'm talking about people are healthy and they come back healthy, right? That's different than they change their back end, that they bring in somebody else.
We need to move on for the sake of other people.
I still don't believe. Okay, agree to disagree. You guys can let us know.
Well, just so you know, I don't disagree with him. I just have a very better view. Okay. And he has the right to be wrong. So, guys, go easy on him.
February 36, LA Edmonton play. 36. I didn't know there's 36 days in February month. That's new to me. 26. Okay.
February 6th.
The other trade that we saw in the NHL was the New Jersey Devils acquiring centerman Nick Bjugstad in a trade with St. Louis for Thomas Bordeleau and a conditional 4th-round pick because they needed to add some size and playoff push while giving the Blues prospect and future asset, especially since Alexander Steen has taken over as GM next year with Doug Armstrong retiring. So clearly the Blues are rebuilding. The Devils, who are still without Jack Hughes, are looking at some depth down the middle. Your thoughts on this trade?
Yeah, I think that this is a pure hockey trade right now, looking at a team that's on the out, a team that's hoping to make the playoffs still in the New Jersey Devils. I mean, they may or they may not. But Nick Bjugstad is a great playoff guy if you can actually make those playoffs. If not, does he have another year on his contract, or is this probably the end of his year and then he's up for?
Sure.
He's been going by year, or maybe having a 2-year contract. So that guy has made a living from going from team to team to team. I mean, so Nick's good though. That's the thing. He's one of those guys that's great. He's almost like what was it? Who was the guy that played in Edmonton, went to Tampa, won his cups?
Pat Maroon.
Oh, Pat Maroon. Yeah, Pat Maroon made his living just by digging around the net, being solid. Totally different player Nick Bjugstad.
Bjugstad has a $3.5 million contract till next season. So he's got a 2-year contract that he signed this year.
Okay, really good deal then, because they got one more year with him. And
And he
So
can
that
play up
means
and down the lineup. So he can
that's
play
why
your
they
top
gave.
six
Okay.
or your bottom
Yeah.
six. So
He can fill in up top, and he can kill penalties if you really need him to too. And he's a big guy, and he's right-handed centerman. So that I'd love to hear what our friend Leo in New Jersey thinks. I think this is a good deal for them both, right? I mean, they're rebuilding, like you said. And by the way, isn't it funny? Doug Armstrong, just before, so he gets to go be in charge of Team Canada. And just before he steps down as GM, he takes his buddies, Colton Parayko and Jordan Binnington, two of the worst defense and goalies this season, and says, "Oh, but they should be good in the Olympics. I'm going to take my buddies with me and call favoritism."
That doesn't mean they have to play. It's John Cooper's call for who plays in net.
No. Okay, yeah. Who plays in net? Yeah. Jordan Binnington. Everybody's saying it. Jordan Binnington is going to get the very first game just because of what he did at Four Nations, which I totally disagree with. Right now, he doesn't deserve. Like he got the third string as far as I'm concerned, and that's where he should be played.
For sure. And we had a minor prospects trade also between the Dallas Stars and the Calgary Flames. So the Dallas acquired Jeremy Poirier in exchange for Gavin White, both playing for their AHL respective clubs. Poirier was drafted 72nd overall by Calgary in 2020, and he's an offensive-minded defenseman. He's got 42 points in 71 games, so he can really put the puck in the net. But as this year, he's had a bit of a struggle on the back end. Whereas Gavin, he was a 2022 fourth-round pick, so a little bit younger of a player, and he's put up 5 points in 23 games this year with the Texas Stars. So the Calgary wanted something like a defender with a different style, more of a stay-at-home defensive defenseman, and Dallas is looking for a bit more offense.
And Calgary wanted to move on from this project. They thought Poirier could actually be that player. He looked like he was up and coming, and he just has not been a consistent player. I mean, it's was he not even drafted out of the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to look back, but I was worried about the draft pick just of his fight. I actually liked him in a few games, but I just couldn't see him consistent in the fight with it. So this was just them moving on from a player they needed to. I mean, I hope he can rebuild. He has a lot of good skill sets that he could actually offer to Texas right now to start like in the AHL there.
He played for the Idaho Steelheads for a bit.
Oh, USHL.
Okay. 3 games, but mostly for the Texas Stars and Peterborough Petes and Hamilton Bulldogs.
OHL he went to. Okay.
And what's called, and in 2022, 23.
Yeah.
So,
and they got Calgary has quite a few good scouts in the OHL. Okay. Yeah. So that's interesting. So
and speaking of some legends of the game to jump over, it sounds like Barry Trotz will be retiring. The former head coach and now the GM of the Nashville Predators announced that he will be stepping down from hockey. So it's been a big news story given his 3-year tenure, almost 3-year tenure with the Nashville Predators and what he's been able to do. And I remember 2 seasons ago, the big swings he took with getting Stamkos and a few others there, Jonathan Marchessault, and bringing them in. And although it didn't pan out, they're doing well this year, Evan. Nashville's been doing well in the hunt. Of course, they're not going to be able to catch up to the 3-headed beast that is the Central of Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota. But they could potentially be a wild card spot there and be a pest in the playoffs if they make it in. Your thoughts on Barry Trotz stepping away from the game, and where do the Nashville Predators go from here? Because they've only had 2 GMs, David Pawel and now Barry Trotz, and that's going to be probably a very lucrative position in the NHL that people are going to want, including, I hear, Brendan Shanahan, who's most likely going to be interviewed for the role.
For president or general manager?
So there's not the owner of the Nashville Predators indicated that it's not a specific role. They're going to do a lot of interview. They've hired a tertiary or a third-party company to come in and interview and headhunt. But Shanahan could potentially be either president or GM. They don't know which one it's going to be. There could be 2 positions for one.
So was Trotz? I'm just wondering, was Trotz president and then GM? I think he was.
I believe he was just GM.
Okay, retaining. Okay, so first of all, he actually went to Bill Haslam in December and let him know of his plans because he wanted to prioritize his family. And this was a shock to the whole organization, but it was his personal decision. Wasn't related to health. So people out there thinking along those things. And it's not him returning to coaching, which I think he's one of the best coaches out there, by the way. His coaching is incredible. And I think he might have even said that in his press conference. So I can't quite recall some of it around it. So I think part of it is he didn't realize what goes into the GM tenure. I mean, he's only been in it for a couple of years. It's pretty rocky. And so the performance and team struggles was one of them. There is reports that have come off. Now, this is from Daily Faceoff and from Elliot Friedman that suggest there were differences in vision between Trotz and the new ownership that is led by Bill Haslam. So Trotz may have wanted to get a little bit more of aggressive rebuild or maybe a contender path. Well, ownership actually wanted to go a different direction. So saying that, if that's true, speculation then would tell us that they're going to actually sell off. So I think that's going to be the true indicator. I think if they try to still make the playoffs and that's the direction they go, then maybe that wasn't a true indicator. But if they start selling off and they're kind of in a playoff spot that they can still keep fighting for. So
and they still have first round picks, so it could be lucrative with what they're able to pick, right? If they do fall out a little bit.
I mean, I think if I was them, I'd say, you know what, let the season go, clear out what you can, and you could make a quick. This could become more of a retool than what New York calls a retool.
Yeah, I mean, they have some really good pieces. You still have Roman Yossi at the top of this game. You still have Saros locked up for long term, and you've got some good young players up and coming in that franchise, including Reed Schaefer. McCarron, I believe, is there, right? So you have some pieces that you can work and build around, right? That a lot of teams, I'm sure, would love to have. So it'll be interesting to see. And I think it's also squashed some of the talks, although things could happen quickly and overnight, with Stamkos potentially being traded. But he looks like he's been lighting it up and scoring at an alarming rate again. And people forget that he can put the puck in the net. We've talked about how if injury hadn't sidelined him, he'd be up there with Ovi in terms of how many goals he's able to score. That's how good Stamkos is. So it'll be interesting to see. And what I'm finding here is that there was no president of hockey operations. David Paul was both GM and that, but Trotz came in only as GM. So we'll see what happens moving forward.
So then why?
That's the name I hear.
Maybe that was part of the new ownership thing. They didn't want to put something in play. Anyway, that's interesting. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, so that's kind of what it is. And I did want to jump over one more thing. Penguins defenseman Caleb Jones has now been suspended for 20 games for violating the NHL's performance-enhancing substance program and will be entering the player assistance program while missing the significant time. And he is currently injured right now as well. So it's going to go up to the point where he's suspended for 20 games because the NHL really looks down on this.
Yeah.
Any thoughts there?
Yeah, it's just always a sad day when you hear about that kind of stuff going on, no matter what the causes are or what the substance is, right? I remember U Sports in Canada, in Western Canada, the U of A, the University Golden Bears, for those that are not familiar, maybe from the States, in Western Canada, it's called U Sports. And one of their top players was suspended for performance-enhancing drugs. Okay, the PED, as they call it. And he actually smoked marijuana. This is before the changes that came with law in Canada and all that, but he smoked marijuana, and they called it a performance-enhancing drug. So when I hear about performance-enhancing drug, I'm like, is this another guy trying to deal with stress at school? You know, or is he trying to deal with stress somewhere and he took some marijuana, or he took, I mean, who knows what they want to call PED. And that's part of the problem, you know, with it, or was it just an extra usage? I don't actually trust some of the reports of what it really is, but you know what? He's gone through a lot of injuries, and that's what actually worries me, Pawel. It's for someone like, you know, Caleb and stuff. When these players go through this stuff, people don't realize how easy, even pharmaceutical drugs, how easy it can be to get hooked on them, and then you can't get anything anymore, and so now you need something else. So I'm wishing him all the best in the recovery program.
Excellent. And that wraps up what I have so far for this week, because it's been a very busy week in the world of the NHL and the hockey world. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you want to tackle before we wrap up the show?
Yeah, just two final thoughts here. I just want to highlight and say, hey, congratulations. Maybe we should call Ken Holland the bread man in LA. Is it a master stroke or is it a desperate move? Only time is going to tell with the signing of Panarin. But I do want to give mention to something, because this is something before we wrap up here. I'm a little disturbed still at these changes with the Canadian Hockey League, upset that players are jumping over to the NCAA. And I'll tell you why. This dates back to last year, when a whole bunch of rosters started stealing players off the BCHL right through to February, and they weren't holding them back on these players with their contracts and stuff. They are allowed to go freely wherever. Hockey Canada decided to make a timely change to help out the Canadian Hockey League, because they're a Hockey Canada, and they normally would have to sign by the end of September. But nope, they allowed them to sign players. They signed, I think it was over 60 players from the BCHL. Totally robbed that league. I mean, it was the CHL who did that. And now Brent Sutter, who he owns the team and general manager and coach in Red Deer. Love the Red Deer Rebels, man. Love the WHL. But he famously got mad for Ole Josefsson to leave his team over the offseason. But apparently he has no moral qualms with grabbing kids off the BCHL roster on the last day of January, because he runs over to the BCHL and grabs players. So, Brent, what's up, man? You can grab them from one league, but no one from another league, and it's off season, and he made a big deal? I don't know. I'm struggling with this, and I'm really bothered by what I feel is a lot of hypocrisy that I'm seeing in the hockey world right now in the CHL.
Excellent. Well, that's it on my end. It's been a ring-a-ding-dong-dandy episode again. We are here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We are on Facebook, on YouTube, on X, or Twitter, and you can follow us on Instagram. You can check me out at hockey_2 and at Revan Ev for Evan. We are back next Wednesday, 7 p.m. For more hockey content. We know the Olympics are starting, so we're probably going to dive into a little bit of what's been happening in the games, both in the men's and women's, and everything else going on. Any final thoughts, Evan, or are we ready to head on out?
Yeah, no, we're ready to go, man. As we say every week, right here at Two Guys in Hockey Talk. In the meantime, and in between time,
keep your sticks on the ice. Stay safe, everyone. Take care.